Thank you for tuning in to Stampscaping 101. This is another quick card video. A lot of people seem to like that really dramatic type of appearance of the northern lights, you know, Aurora Borealis type of look. This happens to be one of my favorite color schemes anyways, doing the deep, you know, yellows, emerald green types of looks, and I love having that glowing light look like it's emanating from within the card itself. So the big challenge for me, I don't know, it's not really that big of a challenge, but I wanted to see how fast I can do, you know, I can go through, you know, a good range of tones within this given color scheme and see if I can still achieve that really deep saturated appearance of this glowing light right here, you know, within this time frame. And I don't know, it's really easily, I mean, that type of background process right there is really easy to do. And of course, on you know, this type of time frame that I'm working with, I'm not going with a lot of different imagery on here. This is just a quarter-page card too, but 3 stamps on here used. You know, a couple of the flock stamps to go for a little bit of a distance and scale within that sky right there, and then that extra texturing in there can all be achieved in, you know, this kind of quick scene format. So just grab all your pads out. If I was doing them in my memento colors, for example, it would be greens like this. I use the, you know, Distress ink mustard seed color. But then you can add in your other types of blues. Anything that can kind of mix to form greens is fine. So don't only think, when you see a green scene like this, don't only think about it in terms of green, okay? Blues are a component of green, yellows are a component of green, so whatever you have, you know, in your different colors, go ahead and use them. I can even, you know, how dark it is out here, I can even use a purple out there or something like that, okay? It's not going to read as purple, but it'll get much darker as a result of having layered it over the top of that green, so it'll look just like black or, you know, something like that if you're going with something dark enough. So that's the key, I believe, to this type of look right here, getting that really strong saturated appearance and glowing aspect to that, which means you just take the perimeter of this and make it a lot darker. Going against this really dark background, I did use my VersaFine, which, you know, in years past I wouldn't have missed it, but I'm finding this VersaFine is just such a really strong dark black, and it works perfectly against this type of background here. And it just, you got to give it some time to dry, but you know, that'll be a really fantastic color to lay down over it, no matter what you stamp over it. These are the pine trees, of course, but anything kind of dark and silhouette in nature would work perfectly. Like these, you know, this oak branch would look great, and that's a stamp that I just used last night in a video. But anyways, if you choose to watch the video, hope you enjoy it. Hope you're enjoying these this quick scene type of format that I'm working in for this series. It's not going to be 11 by 17s, but I do want to get back to some of those larger formats because I really love them now too. But this is so much fun. I love the challenge of it. Okay, I am loving these kind of quick scenes. Not for the point of, you know, how they look, but it's just how much you can get, you know, within a given span of time. You know, with that type of limitation, or, I don't know, kind of perimeter, you know, parameter, framework, etc. All right, now one of the scenes that a lot of people really love are those Northern Lights types of scenes. A lot of deep, rich, saturated tones, very dramatic looking, and very simple to do too. But let's see how much kind of that saturated appearance of these deep, you know, streaks I can get within this time frame, okay? I'm going to be working, this one was a mustard seed, okay? Distress ink. And I'm working through my green tones here, okay? This one is the Marvy number 11, light green. It's a super bright green. It doesn't look super bright right now because I put so much of that mustard seed down, so there's just a lot of that mustard seed still in my applicator here, and the page is fairly wet, so it's not getting so saturated with the green, but we'll work with it here. And that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see just, you know, what could be achieved. Because I do tend to use a lot of color, layered color in this process right here. I looked at some other types of inks, and Marvy is really going to be some of the brightest colors out there on the market in terms of colors. One of the things about very bright colors, though, you know, we don't want them always so intense, but you can dilute them, okay? And you can make them duller from a brightness intensity standpoint, but you can't make kind of duller colors more intense, okay? But Marvy is just one of those that's just, they don't really advertise, and no one ever talks about them, even back in the heyday of when they were really selling a lot of them. They were just much more kind of, I don't know, kind of popular, you know, colors out there in the, I don't know, just in terms of the, I don't know, collective kind of consciousness of the users out there. But I don't know. I would recommend you know, putting a couple of these colors within your repertoire. One of each hue. Okay, so maybe one green reinker, one blue, and that way you can really increase your intensity of any type of color scheme that you want just by simply layering in that one additional color into the mix. Okay, so you don't need them all. Well, some people do, but you don't really need them. Pink would be great for a red, a really bright blue, the number 10 blue, whatnot. All right, oops, we can see this is kind of getting there. All right, this is a green, Marvy green. There's different types of green, but this one's just a number. Is this number 4? Yeah, number 4. What do you know? I still know my numbers, Marvy numbers. Not really. I've forgotten a lot of them, but oh, I don't know. Kind of the more basic colors. Okay, that is that. This is just blue right here, okay? But blue added on top of green isn't necessarily going to read as blue because colors underneath are going to show through, because the nature of dye-based inks are that they are transparent, okay? They're like stains, okay? So you can, you know, when you're like staining wood or something like that, you can do multiple layers on top of multiple colors on top of one another, and the colors underneath will show through. Okay. Kind of trying to make that hanging curtain look here. Okay, that is that. Let's go for the Prussian blue. Prussian blue is pretty dark, and it does penetrate very well. The viscosity of it is just, somehow it is different from other colors within the Marvy line and other colors really out there on the market in general. And I don't know what it is. It's just, it's thin, but the color still is just very dense. Just the chemistry of it is slightly different. Whatever they have to make that level of blue or darkness out of, it is just, the material of it must be just very, very fine or something like that. And it really does the trick in terms of getting that one extra kind of value, no matter how dark it is. In terms of colors, you can use blacks and probably find a, you know, darker black. But as far as the color goes, this is it, from what I've found. Okay, look at that. You know, isn't that intense? And it looks like a, you know, just really strong flame going there. Okay, this is black. I like to get things kind of nice and streaky, you know, So it looks like that curtain of light, you know, that flame working in there. Okay. The darker you make the perimeter, or wherever your darkest areas are, the darker it will seem, or the lighter areas will seem by contrast. So I actually like to get my darkest areas pretty dark so that the lightest areas really seem to glow. Alright? And I did re-ink my, my black before I started this one. I take care of all that type of stuff kind of right off the bat early on, so that when I do these quick cards I don't have to re-ink. Which I should be doing anyway, but I don't know. Up until now, I'm typically pretty lazy, and you know, when I do a video, you are watching me just kind of going in and sitting at my table and, you know, picking up some stamps and stamping. All right, I have to kind of figure out which way is up and which way is down. If one way looks a little bit more upright than the other one, you know, I can have that stronger piece right here hanging down. It's going to cover it up. Or do I like it kind of open like that? I think I like that lighter area like that. This is a VersaFine black. Okay, I want to go for something really, really strong and bold against that really dark and bold background. So the VersaFine's a pretty good ink to go with in terms of achieving that level of deep, rich black. I'm going to call it 100%. Maybe it's not 100%. Maybe it's 98% or something like that. Black. Okay. I always want kind of a nice dark image, especially in a scene like this, of course. But just for our black inks in general, don't we? You know, that's one of those pads. If you know, I found kind of a better pad, I would get it. A lot of different types of pads and things like that, they're really similar to something that I already have, and I just assume get something else rather than go for some kind of, you know, duplication. But this VersaFine is really dark right now, and it's hard to beat. Alright, look at that. And then look at that flame. And what are we looking at right now? We're at 9 minutes. I could probably cut off a minute or so if I wasn't talking away and whatnot here, but, you know, we're not in that much of a hurry. Alright. Ooh, this might be a little bit too juicy. I want to go for some birds up here. Like so. And I'll go for the smaller one. I'll blot it off first and stamp it out like they're off in the distance. Kind of like that. See that? It's kind of like they're rising up in that pillar of light right there. And I think it's too dark in here. This one's the Love Must Be as much a light as it is a flame. I think that got a little bit too dark up there for that. You could stamp it off in a different thing and put it right there. Or this would be a really fantastic interior piece for a card, I think. You know, the interior scene for your card. Maybe I'll do that. I'll format this later. Okay, so we have a green, yellow, and white color scheme, right? Let's add in some additional embellishments with this. Okay, we'll do a little star here and there, kind of change the size and kind of make your little points a little bit more random. Everyone wants to put these things, and we all do it. I do it too. I kind of have to force it every time I do this, but I think stars look a little bit more, I don't know, kind of natural and star-like if you kind of group them and make them a little bit more random in terms of their placement, because we all tend to place these like exactly a ½ inch apart or something like that, so I kind of group them a little bit. Here's yellow, because that is within my yellow scheme here. You don't have, no, that's not the one. I have one of these that I need to get kind of working again. This one's working okay. Okay. And I have green in here. You can do blue, or you can do a different color if you wanted to. Maybe I will. This is green if you want something a little bit more. Maybe, you know, some of these green ones in the distance or something like that, or just, you know, these are stars that are older stars and they're not as bright in the sky. Remember, there's, you know, maybe they're several hundred light years apart, you know, away from these lighter ones. So kind of working your values within something as, you know, small of a detail as a dot can often add that richness to a piece. So you have lighter tones and darker tones within the colors that you've applied, but you have lighter tones and darker tones within these smaller details. And that all adds up to a nice rich surface quality to your pieces. All right, simple process right here, because we're into simple processes that look nice and dramatic in terms of the end result, but we're not looking into tedium as far as application processes. So just a little bit of pigment ink on a Q-tip right here, and very dried off, okay? Very dry brushed approach, because I don't want to get a big blob of paint here for what I'm going to use this for. So on some of these stars here, let's go for a nice kind of glowing light coming off of them. I have a little bit too much, so I'm going to remove some. So I need to remove off a little bit more ink. It's easier if I'm dabbing off on a piece of darker paper, because I can see how much is being applied on white. I can't, you know, tell how much I've removed. But I'll show you what I'm doing here. I'll hold this up here. But on just some of these stars here, I'm making some of them a little bit more glowing and kind of different in terms of a textural standpoint up here, like so. You can put some down here as well, just to kind of even things out a little bit. But anyways, what are we looking at here? About 12-13 minutes in general. And you have a complete statement in terms of that type of Northern Lights type of scene, okay? It's very simple in terms of the compositional structure, of course. You know, we're talking about 1, 2, 3 stamps on here, so it's a 3-stamp scene, but pretty dramatic in terms of the overall appearance. We have a lot of different tones in there. And if you ever do this type of thing, no one will know how you got that background, you know, that hasn't, you know, done it before or seen, you know, that type of scene before. But they always think that you started off with some kind of colored paper, and somehow through some sort of subtractive process, you've removed color or something. I don't know, you've bleached things out or something like that. Then you have those little dots on there. It's always quite fascinating for people. And this type of scene too, if you spray it with a clear spray, it'll really retain those saturations of ink. Marvy tends to retain the brightness of it, but if you spray it, it'll get even more intense and deep. And that's always a really fun look. And I don't know, it just has that really super glossy appearance. Of course, this is on glossy cardstock anyway, but like I said, look at that intensity right there. And we achieved that in, what, I don't know, 8 or 9 minutes or something like that. But, you know, we've worked through quite a few colors right here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors, okay? That's a lot of application there, but you can see it doesn't have to take a long time to achieve, you know, the fullest, deepest saturation of that given color scheme right there. So really fun stuff. I don't know. I guess we are done. I'm going to mat this, and I think that love is a light as love must be as much a light as it is a flame. I think that'll be the perfect interior piece for this one. So just a real simple mat on that one, and maybe a double mat. I usually like going for double mats on a maybe a dark cardstock with this stamped out in white on black would be quite dramatic. And then I can put some additional stars in there. I'll do a finish finishing video to this one, and I think that'll look really great because I can add additional stars on the interior of a, you know, dark cardstock or whatnot, and it would really match this. Okay, quick cards. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.